Nutmeg, the famed spice of the East. The nut itself contains two spices, the mace, which is the filmy red membrane on the outside, and the nut itself in the middle. Well, here we are in Banda in Mohammed Mossman's plantation. Well, in Banda, here under the shadows of the volcano Gunung the unique conditions are provided to grow the spices in this beautiful garden here. Here grows nutmeg, cloves, cinnamon, almonds, betel nut, cashew nuts, tapioca, and even coffee. It's an absolutely lovely garden here. Here we see the nutmeg as it grows on the tree. The smell and the aroma is absolutely breathtaking. Now, because of all the spices here which grow in Banda, this is what is caused years ago the countries like Holland, Portugal, and even England to vie for power in this area, which used to be called the East Indies. Shortly we'll be going on tour through the plantation with Mohammed Mossman, who will explain to us all the different spices, how they're cultivated, and what they look like in their raw state when they're still growing on the trees. And that's it. We'll just have a little look around the plantation.
Coming there, right? This I like, yeah. Come on.
And there it is. Yeah. Cinnamon bark. The nuts are drawn from the tree with this sort of lozenge pole. He says only when the fruit is opened, split open, is it ready to pick. Yeah. Yep.
This yam, this star fruits and flower star fruits. This kutikata. You see this green, white, and a little red. After change color, black. And if black, eat. Sweet. This cashew nuts. But after must open. If like it, must open. Must open like this. Okay, I making. And this betel nuts. This very open this betel nuts. This cinnamon. But wait again. After dry, change color brown. Cloves. This very small. very small clothes like this. If like this, full time and no goods. Open, no goods. This dry. Much like this clothes. Lips nutmeg. Very small flower, green color. After change, yellow. If like this, after come to small fruits like this. This fruits 3 months. This 7 months. And open 8 months full time. This the best quality. You see. 2 years not broken for nutmeg from Banda Island, but must open like this. This coffee leaves and green color, very young. After must change color red, after red and black. And this also mango. Now one this lemongrass. Lemongrass.
Lemongrass.
Yeah,
Okay.
lemongrass. After I take cassava, and you see one more. For tapioca, but for banda people, for it, for cooking, for eat every time. Up to you. You like if in the morning, the day, afternoon, off, tonight, after yam. No,
Yeah.
same potatoes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay.
Mr. Watson.
For me
It's
also, thank you very much for you. And
Right.
don't forget, next time if you come back to the Banda Island again, you don't forget come back to my plantation and for Mo Usman. Me Mo Usman.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Good job.
Thank you.
Okay. So long for next time, yeah.
Okay, well we're in the museum now, in the little town of Banda, and I'll try to the best of my ability to recite to you a little bit of the history of these islands. You'll have to excuse our halting attempts to be amateur filmmakers here. We're not professionals, but we'll do our very level best. Originally, these islands here in the Far East were discovered by Arab and Chinese traders. Then in 1512, the Portuguese arrived and almost had the islands to themselves for 90 years. Then the Dutch arrived with orders to seek out the spice from its source and circumvent the Portuguese monopoly, which they did so with incredible ruthlessness. And in 1621, they just completely eliminated the population of these islands, and it's depicted very, very well on the picture, which you can see behind me. This happened in 1621. You can see the date over there in the corner. Don't worry about zooming into it. You can see here Japanese mercenaries which were hired by the Dutch sailors. They arrived in these islands, and literally the local islanders which cooperated were enslaved and the rest were murdered, as you can see in all the gory detail in this picture. The Dutch also brought in slaves from other islands like Java, Sumatra, and other neighbouring islands. And the Dutch East India Company was born and had a complete monopoly of the whole area for almost 200 years. and it was the advent of the Napoleonic Wars which spelled the end of their occupation really. Over the years, the nutmeg tree was smuggled out to places like Grenada, to Java, and other destinations in Malaysia, like Penang. And once the tree grew up in other places, these little islands just faded into obscurity. And of course, if we come even further forward in history, the advent of the fridge, the refrigerator, and the ability to be able to refrigerate meat has just meant that these islands have faded completely into obscurity. And that's it. Here we have a model of the Banda Islands to give a little orientation of where we are. They are as follows: Hatta, Pisang, Longtor, Banda Nera, where we're staying, Karaka, and the volcano Gunung which dominates the whole island group. And the further to most outlying islands are this one here, A, and Rum. This is the Dutch governor's house here on Banda, built in 1824. It's a prime example of colonial architecture here in this far distant land of Holland. As I said, it was built in 1824 and it was the governor's residence, and it was a very, very lavish building in its time. Now seemingly disused, the rooms are empty, the crystal chandeliers are still hanging, believe it or not. So we're going to have a look inside now. And there's also a curious little note. It's a suicide note, scratched with the diamond off of the ring on one of the windows inside. And we'll walk inside now and have a look. Just about visible is the message in the glass, scratched by a diamond of a ring. And the inscription reads, translated into English: "When will come the time that I will join my happiness? When will the clock strike the hour, the moment that I will again see the land of my country, the bosom of my family that I love and bless?" And it's dated the 1st of September 1832, and signed Charles Monthly. And immediately after he wrote that note with his ring, he hanged himself from the crystal chandeliers in this very, very room. Here we are in Fort Belgica, high above on the little hill above the town of Banda Nera. This fort was built by the Dutch in 1611, and it served for 250 years to protect their little spice monopoly here on Banda Nera. It's recently been restored to its former glory, and it's a beautiful promontory up here, completely unspoiled, and as you can see, the cannons are still lined up at the ramparts, staring out over the sea towards the next island down there, which is Montor, which indeed was essentially the production of the majority of nutmeg and spice in these islands. Here we see the remains of Fort Nassau, originally constructed by the Portuguese and seized by the Dutch in 1603. Also called Banda Islands, which means Big Banda. These are our two friends, Gina and Dini, who have very kindly come with us today to show us around. We've just been to the house of the last verkenier of Banda, which is a Dutchman called Herr van der Broek, and he is the last Dutchman still on Banda producing nutmeg. He has 10 hectares of land, and he still sells nutmeg into the commercial factories. So we're just going to wander up now and look in the village of Montor. These steps lead to Fort Hollander on Montor Island, 260 steps.
Right now, we've only got 40 steps for going live, and then we're going to go forward.
Well, we've reached the top of the steps. It's 360, not 260. And it was a hard climb. We've been over to the other side of the island and we've snorkeled in the sea. Now, this is the site of Fort Hollander, which in Indonesian is Bentang Hollander. It was destroyed by an earthquake which preceded one of Gunung-Api's many eruptions in 1760. So all we see behind us is just the ruin, and we're on a high promontory now on Montor Island. and the straits stretching over to Banda down there and Glenafry there. It's a very, very pleasant spot with a beautiful view of the island. So we'll just have a scan round now of the view from up here. Port Belgica in the distance on the island. Well, today's the 21st of January and we're going to have our first assault on Glenafry today. It's about 20 minutes to 9 in the morning. We had an earlier attempt and it was rather Pujan Besar, which is Indonesian for big rain. So now the weather seems to have settled a bit. We can see the top of the volcano behind the church where we're stood. So we're going to get a little dugout canoe, for a hire dugout canoe, paddle across to the volcano, start climbing. Right. Well, this is the third hut on Glenafry. We must be about a third of the way up now, and already we're starting to get a very, very panoramic view of the island beneath us. Plus the pumps have about 2 points of sweat so far, absolutely dripping wet. But the heartbeat's up there, and we're making good progress.
In about another 45 minutes we'll be at the summit, and then we'll look down into the cauldron from there and see where it's starting to look mighty nice from up here now. Treading out with a lot of loose stone now, but anyways, we're doing good, feeling good.
Right, well this is it, we're sat on the crest of Glenafry. The clouds just started to clear. And the view is actually panoramic. The main cauldron is just on the edge, about a yard down the run south now. And we're just doing a little pan around. We can see the island over the sea down there, the airstrip like this one. And there's a massive great big bug on your arm. You better get it off pretty quick. Right, we'll just have
Quite a radio though.
We'll just have a little pan around now then and take in the view. dead on my belly on the top of the volcano, and I'm as close as I dare to get to the edge. And we're looking right down into the cauldron of the volcano now, and it is absolutely ominous. It must be 200 meters in diameter at least. Just right down into the bottom there. And it can come up. Well, we've made it down from the volcano. I can feel about every muscle in my legs today. We've been lying down and trying to recover. And as we've only got 2 more days left in Banda now, we're just going to do a little tour around the town and look at some of the Dutch houses here. Okay?
Yeah, it's so you
Oh, yeah.
good. It's so red.
Yeah. Coffee painful legs now.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah?
For now?
Yeah?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Or later maybe. 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock later.
These are the canary cakes, and they're only made here in Banda Nera, and they're shipped to Ambon, which they're distributed to all the shops. And Gina here is going to explain to us how these are made.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm making
Yeah.
this canary. We boil after we give sun, and then dry. We give to brown sugar for cook. After if dry, we can give here here for this and cat. After we and put this, yeah, we wrap for sell in Ambon for sale. Every toko, every soap in Ambon, I sell here for sale in Ambon.
Very good.
Yeah.
bagus.
They're very bagus.
Bagus.
Bagus. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih.
There.
Terima kasih.
Many of the Dutch homes, the Dutch colonial homes that we've been looking at, are being restored these days. And this one in behind me is just a fine example. This here was at one time the staging home of Sultan
Sultan Sajir.
Sajir. So anyway, we're looking at this one, and if you've seen the marble floors, that was come across on those ships many, many years ago when the Dutch were coming over here, and they were part of the ballast for the boat, and that's how the marble has come into effect here. But this is just a fine example of the Dutch homes that are here and that are being restored these days.
This is one building which is being restored at the minute. The Indonesian government has initiated a scheme whereon if foreigners wish to live in a mansion like this on Banda, then they pay for it to be restored, and then the Bandunese government says, okay, you can live here until you die, then it goes back to the country. There's many of these houses in much worse state than this one is here. When I was here before, this was just a ruin, and now it's being lovingly restored, and I would imagine very, very soon it will be back to its full splendour.